be live in just a few seconds here. Hold on.
So you do it live on YouTube, huh?
Yeah, we stopped using Facebook Live for many reasons.
Pain in the ass.
Pain in the
Yeah.
ass. The audio was bad. The video looked like crap. It over compressed everything.
9 hours. How long it'll take me to get there?
All right, let's go.
I still have to book my flight. They're so expensive right now.
Oh, yeah.
They want like $500 something. I'm like, get out.
What? Where are you
From-
flying from?
Toronto.
Just drive.
Why isn't this coming up?
Yeah,
there go
that's expensive from
there go the
Toronto.
fireworks.
Toronto to Columbus is literally like an hour flight. Or like hour 50.
Last year of Game of Thrones, and I was like, "That's sad. Don't tell me that's sad."
Yeah, but people forget we're gonna get like spin-offs by like 2021. Watch. HBO is gonna go right into those spin-offs really fast.
All right, let me
I
get
mean, they
this.
already have ideas for them, don't they?
Yeah, they're like 5 ideas.
Yeah,
This
so
is the
maybe
one
not
thing.
2021, maybe like 2022 at the earliest, just because they have to like finalize
No,
that and
'cause
then cast.
HBO has
produce.
nothing. HBO has nothing. They're losing all their shows.
You mean
They're
to tell
losing-
me that they're not already starting shooting the spin-offs?
They will, because they're losing all their shows. They're losing all their top shows are gone. Girls, True Detective, Leftovers, Veep, Game of Thrones. All their shows they have like nothing. Like
Well,
they have
Veep
West-
stopped because
they're-
what's the
they're-
Majiki? She's
Yeah.
she's going through the breast cancer stuff, right?
and Westworld's Westworld's they're banking on Westworld, but that takes forever to shoot. So
Right.
they have no shows. Like
Shit. All right, we're live. I'm just getting the link together here for that live stream.
what's up, guys? I started watching this Netflix thing called Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch.
Yes, Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
It's like Chris. It's an interactive movie. Like you
That's
make
cool.
choices. It's crazy, and you get constantly go back and just keep making these different choices. I was like there's one. Oh, it's crazy. I love it. Like there's one where you like either chop up your dad or you bury your dad when you kill him. It's
Wow, it's violent.
you need to check it out.
Well, for Chris and I, that's a coin flip for us.
It's fun.
That's
It's
true.
fun because it's so interactive. It's
That's a coin
You know
flip
what? I
for my
just started
brother.
watching Future Man.
I heard about that
It's fun. It's interesting.
with Twilight
Right.
with
Copy. That post is about to hit you on Facebook. Sorry,
Oh, I just posted it on Facebook as well.
well I put the
our Beat It page and our Behind the
oh
Iron
you
Curtain.
have the live stream
Yep.
for the YouTube. Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. It's double posted. It's no big deal. I put in all the notes. Well, all the the usual.
Trin. You said you didn't like Bumblebee.
Mm-mm. I was
I like
pretty
Bumblebee. That was
disappointed.
awesome.
No, I think he deserved a better movie than
I
that.
disagree.
Somebody
was
pointed out it's basically a horse movie with robots or a
Yeah,
horse
but-
girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Robots, and I can't take it seriously now.
No, but
Yeah.
we got the Optimus Prime from the cartoon, like from the original. We didn't get we got the Optimus Prime that looks exactly like from the cartoon. That's what got me
Sounds
so
like you're
excited.
saying Octopus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Sorry, Optimus Prime. Why do you always need to make fun of my
Your
pronunciation?
accent? Oh,
It's out of love.
pronunciation.
I'm Canadian. Okay, let's.
Pronunciation. Pronunciation.
Why is that For
That's
some reason,
funny.
it's showing up as 199.98.
It should be 199.
Yeah, it should be. That's true. I'm missing something here. Well, it should say 199 now. No, it does not. It also says that we're offline. Does it show we're online?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows that we're on YouTube.
All right.
Absolutely.
It refreshed and changed all my show notes. Let me just fix this real quick. But okay? So normally this works out really well. It's just for some reason tonight, it has to be a bastage.
Because
That's
we have
usually how
people
that
here.
works.
I apologize.
Oh yeah, it says gift ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was my.
that was last time. For some reason, it didn't save it. So let me just put all that back in. It only take me about a minute. Right now I just have 800 things open. Facebook was easier in
yeah,
terms.
you're right. It's a much better picture.
Yeah, Facebook was a little bit easier because you basically hit like 2 buttons and you were on. Here, I have to do a little bit more of this legwork. Thank you,
Trin.
Jacob. Jacob says, y'all are awesome. Glad to
Sup,
see you.
Jacob?
Oh.
Trin,
Oh.
Trin, you said your husband's a Scotch drinker.
Andrea
Yeah.
Snow says, you live. Hasten
I gotta get
Wilson
him.
says, hi, guys.
What's up, guys?
Okay,
2019, guys.
let me just get this other thing done so
It's
we
the
can,
year of the dragon.
we
It's
can
the
get
year,
this
it's the
posted.
year of the wolf.
Ooh.
First of all, you're the wolf.
Sorry, Tara. I don't mean to hold you up like this.
Is it?
All right, so now let's try to fix this. I'm going to refresh this. See if this works. All right, so now it should be the right show notes. So you might want to repost the repost.
I think it'll automatically refresh.
Okay.
Let me.
We're almost there. We're almost to 200 episodes.
Wow.
Doing this for a
Right.
long
That's
time.
nuts.
I joined. I think it was 100.
This
is when we
wouldn't even have
started.
been our oldest podcast. The gaming show would have been. We would have been at like
I
probably
Yeah.
so want to do a gaming podcast. Oh my
The
god.
gaming one, yeah, would have been
back
probably
when
at
we
least
did.
a 300.
I
5
love.
episodes a
I would
week.
so be down for gaming because I play like every game. So
Well,
for
if I can
PS4.
get some time, I can teach you how to podcast at yesyoucanpodcast.com. You can make your own podcast.
Shameless plug.
All right. So let me know if that went through, Trin. If it looks right, then we don't have to fix anything else.
It looks right.
All right. Woo! Big E's here. What's up, dude? Good evening.
What's up?
All right. It's going to be a full house, I hope. All right. Let's do one more. We got to do the sound check. Happy New Year. Yes, indeed. 2019 is going to be awesome. Or I'm going to
It
burn.
is.
I posted something on one of the fan pages,
Mhm.
and it was like, the only good thing about 2018 is that not a single character from Game of Thrones died. Because we didn't get any new material, no new books, and no episodes.
Yeah, but you know they're
Except,
gonna
well,
make
okay,
that
the
up.
Blood and Fire, but that was all history. So
Thank you,
no
Jacob.
new stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on a little beard. Just a little beard. I don't want to go
He's
too.
trying to be like me.
Yeah, I
he's trying to
figured
be
I'd
like
be
me
like
here.
the king of the north.
He's trying to be like me.
I'd be
but
like King Dingaling over here.
maybe northern.
King
Yeah.
Dingaling of House Stark. I could never copy you, John. It's just
No, you
it's
can't.
impossible, buddy.
Yeah, 1 in a million.
I
I'm
want to
one
grow
behind.
one of those lines like Tony Stark had in Avengers,
Iron
you
Man?
know.
Oh,
But
that was bad.
That's-
It
Did
was-
you see the
But
trailer?
like
for
I
that,
only
Chris?
grow it in patches.
Did you see the trailer for Endgame?
Oh, that trailer
Yes.
was lit.
Oh
that
yeah,
trailer
I
lit.
cannot wait for that movie, man.
It was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that.
I was because we were supposed to get it like the week before, like, and they kept delaying it.
All right,
Yeah, I
let's
didn't know-
do
no,
mic
I'm-
check
what
real
I'm saying,
quick,
I didn't,
and
I
then we're
didn't
gonna
know
go.
that they were doing another Avengers. I thought they were gonna go back through and do like the clusters again.
All
But
right,
they went right to Avengers, and I was like,
Because I
what?
think
all right, Julie, your
This
mic
is-
check is good. John, your mic check is good. We got to get
I
to the
think
show.
they broke it up. I think that's why.
Break
think
it up
check,
they-
later.
check.
Thank
check,
you,
check.
thank you, Trin. All right, Tara, mic check.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, sounds good. Okay, and Elena.
Hi. You got me?
Yeah, okay, good. I'm using a new compressor, so I'm tweaking everything. This way,
It's
everyone
gonna
sounds
make us all
amazing.
sound really hot.
Well, I'm going to
Good,
try
'cause I'm
to.
single and I'm ready to mingle.
Some of
so-
you already sound hot, and when I literally get feedback, and they say, "That guy Chris, yeah, he sucks. Get him off the show." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, it's my fucking show. That doesn't make sense." Alrighty, here we go. Let's get the
It's
intro
okay
music
if I
going.
outshine you, Chris.
Yeah, you can shine my shoes.
It's okay if I outshine you, Chris.
Inside my boot.
What in the world was that?
Our,
That's
our
our-
That was the
intro.
intro.
Oh, I was like, what just happened? I'm sorry.
Oh, she's never heard our show before.
I have. I just haven't watched it from like the beginning.
Oh. The intro is the best part of the show.
It's kind of low. Is it supposed to be
Is
that
it low?
bro?
It's probably
Yeah,
low for
it's-
you guys.
It's because he will edit that into the actual podcast part of it later.
It sounds good for the
Listeners.
listeners, yeah.
Trin, I'm gonna get your husband like a bottle of scotch when we go to con.
Or it should, anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure he still has that shield he started making you that one time. And then we moved and bought a farm.
You saw that Game of Thrones whiskey, right? Or I think it was
Yes.
the whiskey. Yeah.
The Tully. It was like
It's like
Tully
65
Scotch.
bucks.
Ooh.
The Tully one, yeah. I
Mhm.
saw that when I was buying my Christmas wine for my coworkers. I'm like, nice.
Yeah, I'll find it for sure.
Okay, give me I need silence in the chat.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones podcast.
All right, that didn't make it into the live, but that's okay. It's no big deal. All right, Julie, one more mic check because you haven't been here in a while.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check.
All right, that's good. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, hello, welcome back, Thronies. This is episode 199, recorded January 6, 2019. Happy New Year. Beat it all the way. Woo! Game of Thrones style. Hot shit. We got a whole panel tonight. It's going to be an exciting podcast. I cannot wait to introduce everybody. So why wait? Let's do it right here, right now. Let's start from your left, my right, my up, your down. We have the amazing King of Nothing. He is Lord Dingaling of the Starks. He is General Jonathan Stomas Starklover.
Chris, what's up, man? Happy New Year, Chris.
Happy New Year, buddy.
2019. King of the North.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get it wrong every
New
time.
Year's resolution, King in the North. Okay, let's
Okay, so my New Year's resolution is to call you King of the North.
exactly.
Over my dead body. Let's talk about our next podcast host. She is amazing, and she's in her house, actually, although maybe not living there full time, but she's back in her house. She's back in the saddle again. She's whispering to the dragons. She is the one, the only, the lovely and talented Trin. Welcome back, Trin.
Thank you, Chris. I am so happy to be back with you guys. I miss the family. I've missed like 6 episodes. Hurricane Florence did a number. But yeah, I have a roof now, and almost all the walls are going to be back in the house
Nice.
in like a week or two. So, but yeah, I can broadcast. So I'm here, and I'm so happy. And 2019 is going to be such a better year because I'm going to be going to Ice and Fire Con.
Oh, yeah. And it's
Yes.
great to have you back.
Yeah.
Although I did love having you in our house. But that was the
That
last
was
time we
awesome.
podcasted together.
That was the last time I was on the show. I was in your house, and we were reviewing the
terrible
all the
wine.
beer. All the beer and the wine.
Yeah, it was terrible.
the Game of Thrones beer.
I can't hold my liquor. That's if that show proved one thing, it's that I cannot drink.
Mhm.
And I cannot taste what good alcohol
and,
tastes
and
like.
I will drink anything.
Yes, pretty much. That's awesome. We had a good time. All right, next we have someone who hasn't been on the podcast for it's been a long time. Back by popular demand, we had a couple of requests. We have my sister Julie Gray here on the podcast, straight from Pennsylvania, a host of the Hockey Hour. What's up, kid?
What's going on, everybody? I'm happy to be back.
It's been a long time, Julie.
It has been a very, very long time. I'm a little rusty, so you'll have to forgive me, but it's good to be back, and I'm really glad that popular demand wanted me to come back, and I'm happy to be back for this episode.
Awesome. Now, our next co-host, who we love having on the podcast every single time, the leader and champion and the queen of Ice and Fire Con. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to introduce Tara. Welcome back, Tara.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back on again.
You are always welcome on the podcast. One time we got to get you on just for a what the hell episode, just to come on here and have a good time and talk a lot of shit about Game of Thrones. Oh wait, we're gonna do that now, and we're gonna talk about Ice and Fire Con. But first, you have brought somebody from your small council or your large council, whichever one you want to call it. Elena, welcome to the show, Elena. You've never been on the podcast. This is so exciting.
I have never been on this podcast before. That is very true. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks so much for inviting us to be able to talk more about Ice and FireCon.
Awesome. Now, have you ever been on a podcast before, Elena?
Yes, I have done a few of the Drunk: A Song of Ice and Fires with Chloe
nice.
Ketchum, Liza Arbor. I know we've done a few others that haven't popped up on the YouTube page yet, so it's been interesting though. Lots more drinking involved.
Awesome. That's a show Trin needs to get on, I'm sure.
Oh, it's so much fun.
And you mentioned YouTube. I'm just going to mention everybody who's listening to the podcast in the future. See how we do that? It's amazing. If you ever want to catch the show live, all you have to do is go to Behind the Iron Throne, all one word, .tv, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Whenever we go live, bam, you get a notification. Also, if you're on our Facebook, facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne, we post that we're going live. We usually do it every 2 weeks, give or take, we hope anyway, on Sundays at 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're not sure, I know some of the Thronies have emailed me or they have hit me up in Facebook Messenger, and I always love talking to you guys, so hit me up. And I will get back to you. I talk to every one of our audience members because that's what we do here. It's all about the community. It's all about being a family. #BeTit forever. That's what it's all about. So, that being said, we'll get the promotional crap out of the way. Let's talk about Ice and FireCon because it is almost here. And what timing, Tara? You're going to have Ice and FireCon and the Game of Thrones? Bam. Very exciting.
And this is like other than 2017 and last year 2018, like almost every year Ice and FireCon coincided with like at some point of the seasons, because we had it's been in April. I think 2016 it was we had Ice and FireCon in early April that year, which is odd for us, and we actually were together for the premiere that year on Sunday night. And then the previous years we didn't have any sort of showings or anything because of our location. It literally did not even have internet that we could hook up to. But the con was happening during Game of Thrones, like while it was airing. So it was always really fun because we had stuff to discuss about the season. And then also I know a bunch of us would go back to Columbus afterward and watch it as a big group. So
that's awesome. Now, so we're going to have a big group watching in Columbus. You're going to have it in one of the showing rooms?
Well, I mean, so Ice and FireCon, it's near Columbus. Like that's where most people travel to if they're flying.
Right.
But it's in New Plymouth, which is about 45 minutes from Columbus.
Oh, I see.
But yeah. So where the con is being held, we will have a showing on Sunday night. As long as, fingers crossed that there's no issues with, HBO Go. There's always issues with HBO Go and
every time.
The internet and whatnot. But yeah, we will have a showing that night on a projector screen. So.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So
people usually bring like pillows and blankets, and also the 2 years. Actually, probably the past 3 years, but mostly this year, a bunch of people brought food and drinks, like alcohol, that they hadn't consumed throughout the weekend. So it was basically just a big hangout. It's a lot of fun.
They must have had a lot of self-control.
It was fun.
You said it was fun, John?
Yeah, because they aired like 3 episodes, and it was fun just going back and watching it with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always an issue with HBO Go, and you don't know how good the internet connection is at the...
I don't think that'll even be the problem. It'll be the fact that it's the premiere, and it's going to break the internet.
It's definitely going to break the internet.
But we don't know if it's going to be the premiere, though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is it definitely the premiere? Because I thought they hadn't announced the date yet.
Because we haven't
that's
announced
the
the
date.
date.
I thought they did announce.
They just said April.
Yeah. Everybody's assuming it'll be the end of April, but that's not necessarily the case because, again, 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, so 2016, the premiere was like the first weekend in April.
Yeah, but it's only 7 episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
6.
Oh, it's only 6.
Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
But each episode's like 2 hours.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be closer to the end of April than the beginning because they're going to want to push it through that opening period of summer.
Well, they want to get it in before the Emmy consideration. So, because we talked about this on the podcast, they want to get it in before the Emmy, because there's a certain cutoff date for Emmys. So they want. I think it's going to be like first or second week of April.
Oh, that's awesome. Although I would love to see it right at the tail end of at your convention, Tara, where everyone would be in a room watching it. That would be like, that's kind of what I'm envisioning. I'm hoping that happens because I would love to be there. And then, right after, I don't know, because then we're not going to be able to record the show. I'm going to be hanging out with everybody, trying to get, drinking and talking. I've never been to a party for as long as we've recorded this podcast. I've never been with a group of people to watch the Game of Thrones.
It's fun.
Yeah, that would be mad.
But you know
awesome.
what, Chris? Why don't we could just do a live podcast like right there.
Well, that's the
room
problem.
Right after,
if the internet isn't so
right?
good there, doing a live podcast is going to be
not
tricky.
live, but at least we can record a podcast. Like what I mean by live is, I mean having a live crowd. Like some podcasts do that. Well, they do it like a lot of podcasts will record like at Comic-Con or something, right? So it's not necessarily live, but it's like we're recording with with an audience.
We could figure something out. I got tons of equipment, so
The internet there is okay. The only time we really used it heavily was the people from History of Westeros hosted Quiplash, like a Song of Ice and Fire version of Quiplash, and we were a little bit worried about the internet being able to handle that because it's it's all played online through Jackbox, like on Steam, I think is what they did, but it was actually pretty good. Like they said it slowed down like once, and then one other time it crashed for like 5 seconds, but I think that was more that because when you're doing that, you have people like on their phones in the audience sending stuff in, so it's a lot of data back and forth. So if you're just sending stuff out or just like watching stuff or whatever, it should be okay.
I know we also used it a lot because we did karaoke on Thursday or Friday night?
I forgot
Friday
about
night.
that.
Yeah.
And it was fine then too for playing YouTube videos.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we had a bunch of them like queued up and stuff, so I don't think we have to worry about the internet.
So, Tara, did you want to talk a little bit about some of the events you have planned this year? Whatever's not a secret or a surprise?
I mean, as there's like secrets or surprises, there's a few things kind of coming down the pipes, but they're not, I don't know, I wouldn't even call most of them right now secrets, but we've got, as usual, a lot of really fun things going on. We have a bunch of events that happen every year. Obviously, there will be discussion panels. We opened our programming application back in the beginning of December. So like if anybody's interested in being on or hosting a panel or really just an activity, if you have an idea, if you go to iceandfirecon.com/events, there's a link to the programming application. So the discussion panels and whatnot, those won't be finalized in terms of what they'll be about until, mid to late February. But there will be plenty of those. We had 12 or something last year. There's probably going to be more this year. And then there's a fandom favorite organization meetups. So like you guys are, there's one that's for patrons and VIPs only that will kind of be small council members and like at least one person from all the fandom favorites. But each fandom favorite group, you guys, History of Westeros, Podcast Vice, well, I don't know if Podcast Vice and Fire will be able to this year, but you'll all get like your own set meeting time where you can kind of spend that hour doing whatever you want, just meeting with your fans, chatting about whatever, doing a live, cast or recording a cast to air later. And then we've got the board game tournament, which goes, there's usually a round on Friday and then a round on Saturday. That's like a sign up thing that'll open closer to the convention. And then we have the tournament, which features melee sword fights and stick horse jousting. We're probably gonna pare down the stick horse jousting a little bit this year. It got a little bit lengthy last year, but it was hilarious.
I
Oh,
loved
is
it.
that why, John? Is that why you sent us a picture of you on a pony?
Well, no, I was gonna mention something there. Never mind. But I love the joust. Okay, I came in second, so I
Wow.
love the joust. That was my favorite. I had so much fun. I was freezing my ass off, but it was so much fun.
Did you lose to a Lannister?
No, I
course
lost
he did.
No, I did not lose to a Lannister. Hold on a sec. I beat a Frey. I beat a Frey.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Aw.
mean nothing.
Then I lost
Beat a
to
Frey.
a Night's Watchman. But I beat a Frey, and that's all I care about. Like, and he
Was that Pasha?
No, the fray is
Oyster.
oh my god, Dan.
No,
Dan.
I meant the. Yeah, I was gonna say, but the winner. I
Oh,
thought
Pasha, yes, Pasha.
I lost
Pasha dresses. I think Jon Snow-ish won the joust. The fray is our friend Dan. He's been coming to Ice and FireCon since I think 2014. And he's great. He dresses up as a fray every year, and everybody boos him. And he's such a great sport
That's
about it. Like
awesome.
he does it on purpose. I know.
it was
And I passed
beautiful.
him. I beat him. I was so happy.
I think one of my favorite things he's done was for our flea bottom feet, everyone dresses up as some kind of parody or just something in general, and he did a Frey pie.
Oh, I missed
Oh,
that.
how did he do that?
He mostly just wandered around with a pie tin.
Oh my goodness.
And then he had I think he had like carrots or something like strung around his neck.
That's
I can't remember
great.
exactly.
Oh, I missed that. Speaking of Flea Bottom Fet, that's the other thing. It's our Saturday night dance party. And then the Faceless Man game. Which is it's an assassin game.
I'm doing that this year.
Yeah, so that's also like you have to sign up before the convention, and that one fills up. I don't think it's not filled up once. And we'll obviously, once those things open, we'll post links everywhere. And then of course, Westeros, an American musical, is coming back.
Yes, it is.
That was so fun.
Not only is it coming back, it's gonna be longer. Where it's actually 2 acts this year. Like we're actually putting on a full musical where
Sorry.
No. Yeah, we're actually putting on a full musical with an act 1 and like a 10-minute intermission, and then an act 2 on Friday night. So
Last year you stopped at Blackwater, if I remember.
yes,
Are you gonna
yes.
do Red Wedding?
I am not at liberty to say.
Yes.
Same.
John.
That was so much fun. That was the funnest. That was the
Literally,
funnest.
all I can say is what we've already announced, which is that it will be 2 acts, and that each act is about not quite an hour long. With intermission, I think it's just over 2 hours of programming time. But it's gonna be worth.
It was really fun. It was really fun. I had so much fun watching the musical.
Yeah, it's gonna be 25,000 steps up this year, so
Wow.
I'm very excited.
Now, Tara mentioned that there's going to be panels. I know that I think that Trin and John are going to fill out applications for panels, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which days I'm going to be going, so I didn't want to commit to anything because I don't want to, say, oh, well, I couldn't make it and I already signed up for something and be the asshole that doesn't show up. So,
I mean, we have on the panel application, there's an additional comments, thing at the bottom. So like if it's something where you aren't sure you're going to be there for more than like Friday evening and Saturday, like you just add that as a comment, and we take that, into consideration when we're scheduling things.
oh, good, because there was a couple things that I know that these guys are excited to get on the panels and, I wanted to join them, but I just don't know which days yet. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, no worries. And again, we're the panel applications are open through like mid-February. I do suggest filling them out sooner rather than later, or filling it out sooner rather than later, because we've had like I think 14 or 15 applications so far, and we only have so many time slots for panels, so like it'll it'll first come down to, okay, well, which ones of these do we think are the most well thought out, and then also, well, who got theirs in first? So
Right. You got you got time to worry about, and of course quality and whatnot. So you're going to have the joust, you're going to have the melee battle, you're going to have a lot of stuff going on. Now, you mentioned earlier about fan favorites. Can you tell some of the people that are listening to the podcast and watching live who may not know what that means, what a fan favorite is?
So a fandom favorite is kind of a thing a program, I guess you could call it, we came up with a couple years ago, where we invite, webcasters, podcasters that are big in the fandom to, kind of, I'm using the term guest very loosely, but that's essentially what you guys are. I just don't like calling it that because I've been a guest at conventions and I don't like the way a lot of that's run. But so we have several fandom favorites this year. Behind the Iron Throne, you guys are one of them. History of Westeros, who has been a fandom favorite for a couple, I think since 2017. So this will be their third year. And then Podcast of Ice and Fire, who has been attending since our very first year. I think this year, unfortunately, only Ashley, who is also actually on our small council from Podcast of Ice and Fire, is going to be able to make it. The others have some work commitments that they can't get out of, but they're still considered a fandom favorite, of course. And then Davos Fingers is another one. They're a reread podcast. And Radio Westeros, of course, Radio Westeros. So also a podcast. They're a little bit more loose. They're not like a specific reread thing. They don't really. They're books only. I'm pretty sure. I've listened to a ton of their episodes, but I'm bad with remembering exactly who does what, because there's so many Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones like podcasters and everything out there. But yeah, so basically it's just webcasts and podcasters, or even just websites in the past. We don't have any flat out just websites or blogs this year, but we've had like Song of Ice and Fire University before and Tower of the Hand one year. So yeah, it's just fandom favorites. Like, people in the fandom love you guys. So we invite you to be part of the con. You kind of get first right of refusal to panelist spots on panels, even that other people suggest if they need other panelists. And you have, like I said, you can have a meetup hour where you can do basically whatever you want with it. And then, of course, also this year for our patrons above a certain level, I think it's the Lannister level, which is $10 a month. And then VIP ticket holders, there'll be like a fandom favorite and VIP patron meetup where it'll be an hour of all of us just kind of hanging out with a cash bar and having fun, talking, getting to know each other.
That's awesome. It's amazing, Tara, that you've brought this to the world. You brought this to the fans, and I think it's also incredible that the fans like our podcast so much, and the people are supporting your stuff and our stuff. It just blows my mind that we live in this kind of world. It's just absolutely awesome. And not to change the subject real quick, but we'd like to, bring in our audience into the show. Big E, longtime listener, asked, when do you guys think the first trailer will drop for Season 8? Do any of you guys have any thoughts on when you think the Season 8 trailer is going to drop?
The premiere of True Detective.
That's what
What's the date, though?
Yeah, we need a date.
I think True Detective premiere is next Sunday. So
you think that's soon?
It's a big event. I think because True Detective is going to be like, it's a big season. It's like season 3. I think they like to do. I think HBO likes to tie their trailers to stuff like that. So that's my guess.
Super Bowl.
Oh, I'm there.
Yes. You are.
Yeah, the Super Bowl.
It's the last hurrah.
They have the money for it.
I honestly,
they do.
I wouldn't have even thought that, and it might not even drop like on air, like on whatever network is airing the Super Bowl this year. I can't even freaking remember, but like, you saying it's True Detective, that premiere is a big event, made me think, wait a minute, it's like Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Will it air like on TV, like during the Super Bowl necessarily? No, but that would be my guess.
Tom M agrees. Super Bowl was the best pick.
Super Bowl will be airing on CBS this year, by the way.
That would be perfect.
I don't know that they would drop a trailer. I feel like they would do a funny teaser, like they would have Kit Harington on as Kit Harington, just talking smack with like Amelia Clark. You know, like they would do like a funny thing like that. Like if you guys saw something recently he did with Toothless.
Oh, that was awesome.
It was adorable.
Yeah.
Like it would be something along those lines, that it would just be this cute little clip of just to remind everybody, like, hey, we're not giving you anything, but we're here to just mess with you. Game of Thrones.
Like, I don't know Super Bowl because they never put a trailer on Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's
but
the perfect reason to do it.
This is the last season. This is the chance to throw out all the stops.
Do they don't need the coverage of the Super Bowl for a trailer. That's where you do like the movies and stuff. They already got the hype already.
Yeah, but I feel like D&D would want to flaunt their stuff one last time.
How much money it is to put something on?
Well, the other thing is they could have done it tonight, which is the Golden Globes. If they really wanted to do it, they could have done it tonight at the Golden Globes. So I don't know. It's you're getting into award season. You know, Golden Globes tonight, and then at the end of February you have the Oscars. So it's definitely going to be in that period. It's obviously not going to wait till March. So it's going to be within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would imagine.
Biggie makes a. Go ahead. I was going to say he makes a good point. CBS is a rival network to Time Warner HBO.
Plus, it costs like $1 million for like 10 seconds or something. I can't remember what it is for Super Bowl week.
It's expensive, yeah.
They have it. They have it. They have it.
But but didn't they do for last season? Didn't they have like the little tiny, super short clips? Like there were like 5 or 6 seconds of something, and that little build up.
Weren't those scattered into like True Detective and so like weren't they scattered into those to like hype it up?
That's what I don't remember where they did it.
They did the one through Veep, if I remember correctly. They had that short, brief clip just before the lead into Veep. They had one then, and that's how you got that. That was the dragon one, if I'm not mistaken, is when they had that Veep.
And there was one that showed Arya looking at Winterfell.
Yeah,
and so it was but it was just that one shot for like a second, maybe.
I think they're just gonna come out with a poster. They're just gonna drop a poster on Twitter. Like it's gonna be something. It's either gonna be like a faraway shot of like perhaps King's Landing like on fire, but they're gonna do something like that where it's gonna be you're gonna be like, hold, that's where your hype's gonna happen. That's the first bit of the hype, and then they'll come out with the teaser.
Didn't last time they did something with like ice melting or something? I remember like
I thought it was for like 7 hours of just
ice melt to get like the date of the release.
But people watched it, and it was all over.
People did watch it. That's true.
People are crazy for Game of Thrones, man. Even people that don't watch it. My boss is like, my boss at work, he knows I'm on iPodcast. He knows I'm big Game of Thrones fan. He's like, when's Game of Thrones coming out? I'm like, I don't know, man.
I have no answer.
Yeah, my boss.
I cannot help you.
My boss at my last job was trying to foster a friendship between me and one of my coworkers, who was a perfectly nice guy, but just literally nothing in common with this dude, nothing at all. And my boss just kept trying to like, oh, well, you guys both watch Game of Thrones. You should talk about it. And I'm like, okay. I'm trying to talk to this guy, but he's clearly just like a casual watcher. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be as nice as I can about this, but no, I don't think you're right there, sweetie. No.
I don't work Sundays.
I am very good at working into like not saying no, you're wrong, but like saying, oh yeah, like I see where you're coming from, but here's what I think. So I'm good at that, but it's harder when it's somebody like you work with and you just don't want to deal with this person. Or
what
like
bothers me
try to friend you on Facebook.
when you do have those people that are like casual fans that they just watch it here and there. And then they have this like conversation with you, like they're like your best friend, and you really don't talk to them and you don't really know them. And they're like, so what did you think about it? They're like 4 episodes, they're like 4 seasons behind you. Like, what did you think about this? Do you think, and you already know what's going to happen. And you just look at them like, you're an idiot. Like, you just don't want to talk to those people. It's like, catch up and then we'll talk. I can't stand those people. Don't be casual. Go all the way.
But that's Game of Thrones still. You get like, I remember one year I was with my mom, we're buying the new iPhone in an Apple store, and she just mentioned Game of Thrones, and this lady next to me started talking about Game of Thrones, and we just had a conversation with this stranger about Game of Thrones. That's Game of Thrones.
The weirdest thing for me was when I would watch Game of Thrones like in my room, like by myself, and my mom would always be like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Nothing," because it's not a show that you watch with your mom, you know. It's like,
Well, now you do.
some crazy stuff in it, right? So I was like, "Nothing." She's like,
Especially
"No,
that
seriously,
first
what are you
season.
watching?" The first season, yeah, and I was
Right.
just like, "Oh, it's nothing, Mom. I swear to God, it's nothing." Like it's like you're hiding your porn from your parents, you know. And then finally she's like, "Well, I want to watch it." And I was like, "Okay." So she watched it. She binge watched the first season. And I was just like, "Oh." She's like, "That was awesome." And now she watches it with me. So it's weird. Like every time there's like boob or butt, and I'm just like, "Oh God, I'm with my mom." Oh
or
my
a
God.
or a rape scene.
It's
Or
weird.
the random penis.
Yeah. Oh
Random
my God.
penis shot. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
My mom.
Hodor's giant ding dong flopping around in the godswood.
Hodor.
Or
My
in,
mom was flipping the channel one time, and she just flipped onto the Red Wedding episode. She just flipped it, and then she texts me afterwards,
Not the one to
and
flip
she's like, "What the f? This show's fucked up." I'm like, "Yes, Game of Thrones." She's like, "Everyone dies." And she's like, they stabbed the pregnant woman in the belly. I'm like, "Yeah, mom,
Yeah.
that's Game of Thrones." I'm like, "You watch this?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Damn, I'm not watching this at all."
Badass style.
I tell you though, it was rough. I mean, like the Oberyn head exploding scene. I went back and I rewatched the whole
Chris still
thing.
can't eat watermelon.
I can't. Why? I can't do it. I can't. I just can't do it. That and I cannot do the scene where Sansa and Ramsay. I can't watch that either.
That was.
I refuse to accept that episode as canon. I just
Yeah.
skip it entirely. I watched it once, never again.
Yeah, it would have been so much better. I don't. I know a lot of fans are going to say, Chris, you're just a baby girl." I don't care. They could have just faded to black and left it like,
Yeah, they could have like,
you know,
what do they call it? They could have
insinuated
surmised
that it
that's-
happened
yeah, insinuated
instead
that
of.
that's
I
what was
mean,
gonna happen.
I think they did a pretty decent job of getting the point across without showing more than Sansa's back.
Exactly. They
And
didn't have to
some
go that
whimpering.
far.
She did some whimpering.
Oh,
Really
it's
good
the
voice
sound.
acting.
It's
Yeah, it
Theon's,
just didn't exist at all.
Theon's
gotta be
face what
honest.
sold it, man. Theon's face sold it.
And the fact
It's
that she's engaged to the Cake by the Ocean kid. She's engaged to a Jonas brother.
She is. They're
Badass.
super cute
let's
together.
Let's not remind me of this, please. I don't
Poor
like this
John.
at all.
The King of the North.
Dude,
They're
you
like
say-
12.
wait,
It's
Bro,
fine.
you can't.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
you say you're like General John of the Stark Army or whatever, bro, you can't be banging your sister Sansa. You gotta like
Listen,
let that go,
So
bro.
Sophie Turner,
I've read so many
Sophie
fanfics
Turner
that say
is
otherwise.
too
It's
good.
Game of Thrones. Wait,
Sophie
yeah,
Turner's
so I was
too
like,
good to be with this Jonas
We are
brother.
talking about a
crap.
Song of Ice and Fire, aren't we? Like,
Yeah, we are.
You got a
incest
point.
is like a thing.
That is a good point.
Incest, schmincest, it's fine.
Speaking of A Song of Ice and Fire in the books, Tara, did you get to read Fire and Blood?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
How did you like it?
I liked it a lot. You know, it's still. So I've been in this sort of zen place about the lack of Winds of Winter for years now. I kind of got to a point where if I didn't put myself in this zen place, I would just be going crazy. So Fire and Blood to me, like I have some, you know, minor complaints about it. I think there was a lot of text in it that was spent rehashing stuff that had already been published with very little extra added in, like particularly the Dance of the Dragons, and then I think the other one was Concrete. No, not the Concrete. There's two. No, that's it too. There's two sections of the book that come from previously published novellas, or I don't even know if you want to call them novellas. They were like short stories in compendiums with other authors and everything, and so those parts dragged really bad for me. But I loved like all the Jaehaerys and Alicent stuff, and I other than the kind of repetition. Oh, I love like the four-headed beast. Rhaenyra. But there's too many RHAE female Targaryens, so I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head right now. But yeah, like I love the four-headed beast stuff. I loved the Jaehaerys and Alicent stuff. I do think it ended in a really super weird place. Like to end with the Regency.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
not
you.
like
I
go
agree.
like I honestly feel like
ended,
they
and I was like, what?
I think that they rushed it to public. I think they had to rush it to publication, honestly. Like I think that it was originally probably supposed to include his entire reign, and it wasn't getting finished fast enough, is my guess.
Well,
It was just and it's not even that I was like mad or like necessarily needed to know more immediately about, you know, this particular point in Targaryen history, but it was just an odd place to end it. It felt awkward.
yeah.
But
Yes.
overall,
The book put me to sleep many times. I really wanted to love the book. We actually did a whole podcast about just, you know, the book coming out, and I tell you, the book had a lot of good information, but like you said, a lot of rehash stuff, and it wasn't what I was expecting. Like I wasn't expecting like an educational book on the house. I thought it was going to be like stories, you know, like an actual like going through stories, and it was good. I enjoyed it, but there was parts where I would just fall asleep.
So it's just like I haven't read it yet. So it's just like a history book on the Targaryens.
Yeah, it's like
A little more.
if you audio book it like I did, it's a history podcast. So
Okay.
I audioed it.
Yeah.
So because
Me too.
and from what Andrea says, there's a part 2 coming out, which is why they cut it off. Because I thought it's gonna go from Aegon all the way to
Right.
the Mad
The
King,
Mad King.
and it's gonna end there. And then when I all of a sudden they just ended it at the Regency, I'm like, whoa, that's it?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mean, I knew it was that this is only part 1 and that there's going to be a part 2. I just think that where they ended it was a super odd spot. Like I said, to end with the end of that Regency rather than go through, it was Aegon the Third, I think, right? Aegon the Third.
yes.
I think so.
Yes,
That
yes.
sounds right.
Aegon the Fourth was the no. Aegon the Fifth was the unlikely. Aegon the Fourth was the one with all the mistresses. So Aegon the Third. It ends with like the Regency, and then like he's like gonna be king, and then it's like, oh, nope, we're not gonna tell you about what happened when he was king. We're only gonna tell you about the Regency. It's like,
That's an odd spot to stop it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like go
It
through.
stopped.
I
It
really,
stopped with the
sorry,
stopped with the last dragon. It stopped around when the last dragon died out. So there's no more dragons. I think that's where it stopped, right? It stopped with the last of the dragons dying out. I think that's why they stopped it
Okay,
there.
that makes sense. I still feel like it's odd, and they could have just gone through the rest of his reign,
Yeah.
but
They could have done
So,
that,
Chris-
and then at the end they could have put, you know, and coming in the next book in
Chris,
5 years from now,
Did you
100 years.
audible it, or did you actually sit down and read it?
Oh, Audible. I don't
Okay.
have time to read. Hey, Trin, do you have any comments in the YouTube to read?
Just the conversation between Biggie and Tara.
yeah, sorry, I'm typing.
Oh, okay.
Well, they did ask who your favorite character was in Fire and Blood, and I think that could be for everybody, right?
Yeah.
I just happened to be like, I have the chat, I have the window open, so I answered. But yeah,
Who was your favorite then for the listeners?
So it's either Allison, I don't know how to pronounce it, Allison, Good Queen Allison, and it's either her or Black Alley Blackwood.
Oh, so they go do they go in depth about Alicent?
Oh yeah.
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 Ooh, okay.
Oh,
I gotta
yeah.
get this book
Like
now.
honestly, the meat of the book, and it's probably only about a quarter of the text or so, maybe a little bit less, but the meat of the book is definitely the reign of Jaehaerys and Alicent.
See, the funny thing is when I was back on Behind the Iron Throne a long, long time ago, and we were doing a lot of those historical kind of like filler shows while the seasons were changing, I was doing a lot of research on, Song of Ice and Fire wiki about and just going in depth into Targaryens, and I really just for some reason her story stuck out to me. So now I feel like I want to get it because I really want to know more about her particularly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's worth
Yeah,
it.
it definitely goes into a decent amount of depth with
That's
both
awesome.
of them.
It's definitely worth the book's worth it as long as you know what you're getting into. Otherwise, like now that I know what it is, I'm not disappointed. But when I first got it, I was like, oh no, I wasn't expecting this, so I didn't read the fine print.
Trin, do you have a favorite character?
Sarah, probably.
Yeah, Sarah Targaryen. She's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
about
the
you?
crazy one that like ran away from home, or no, they made her go with the sisterhood, and then she ran away from that, and then became a hooker.
For me it's
Hey, it's an honest profession.
for me it's Damon Targaryen.
Oh yeah.
The way he kills, the way he just leaps off his dragon to stab. I can't remember the name. I'm totally.
That's one of my favorites too. And I like
Damon is a badass. The way he just like fuck it. I'm jumping off my dragon to get to kill this mother whatever. I'm like, yes, this guy's a badass. I love him.
John's
Awesome.
very violent, and he's
Yeah,
Yeah,
Canadian.
see, and
You don't even know. You don't even
he
know.
was one of the Damon
Shocking for a
Targaryen
Stark.
was one of the novellas. He's the rogue
Yes.
prince. So
Yeah.
he was he'd like it was like I said, it kind of sucks up feeling like I was rereading these novellas, especially since Magor the Cruel, Sons of the
Yes.
Dragon.
Yeah.
That was the other novella.
Okay.
And
Oh yeah.
He
I
did a podcast on
yes.
Rhaegar.
Well,
Me-
I hosted a panel at Dragon Con that was like literally all about that novella. So it's like I literally have just reread this and like 3 months ago, and I don't love Magor. He's kind of the worst.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. Hold on.
Thank you.
I love Rhaegar. We had a podcast about that novella. Trin remembers this because we had a debate. I
Yeah,
said
because I was
Rhaegar,
like anti.
because I'm like Rhaegar is a great king. I don't care what anyone says. Rhaegar is a good
horrible.
king. No, but he's a good king though, and that's the debate we had. Because he's a
Yeah.
good king, and you said he's a bad king. I'm like, I disagree. He did
Terrible
nothing
king.
to. No, he was a good king. He was a terrible person. There's a difference. You have to separate that. He did what he didn't. He didn't leave. He didn't do anything bad to the realm. He was a bad person, but he was a good king. You have to understand this. Like, I love Rhaegar. He's a badass.
Agree to disagree.
By that same logic, you should be okay with so many characters in the Game of Thrones.
I
that you
know,
don't like.
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
Like
come on,
Jamie.
man.
Right
Like
through all
who?
of it.
Yeah, like
who?
yeah, Jamie.
No,
Do we
Jamie's
have to-
Jamie.
Jamie's a
Gonna-
douche. Okay, stop this. Jamie's a douche, okay?
No, wait. Jamie used to be a douche. He's not a douche
still
anymore now
is.
that he's handless.
Huh?
No.
Julie's on the Jamie
He's
train.
getting better.
He still has a lot of redeeming. Okay, in my eyes. Okay, a lot of redeeming. Okay, I just don't
Listen,
like
I loved I loved his relationship with Brienne. I still to this day think that's really what helped me in redeeming himself. And then the last season of Game of Thrones, he basically said, "Fuck you, Cersei," and off he went. And that right there puts you up a notch in my book.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch. Bye, Felicia.
He's on his way. He's on his way. He got away from the bad pussy. Okay, he got away from the bad pussy. The bad sister pussy. He got away from that. That's good. Now he's got to help my boy John to redeem himself.
If he can get there in time.
That's if they don't.
Elena, who's your favorite Blood and Fire character?
I'm trying to think of her name. She was sent to go and like spy on Alicent
Oh, and
by
she stole the eggs.
no, not her. Sorry. I'm trying to like look through this real quick online. I apologize.
That's
you're
okay.
talking
There's
about
so many names.
One of the girls that like
The one that wrote the
Mushroom was-
book.
Yes.
Her.
Oh,
She was hilarious. I
That wrote
fucking
the
loved
book
it.
about like what oh god, something about
She
like
had
the
a kid.
virtues.
Yes,
Yeah,
the virtue of
Like
the
the virtues or something. Oh,
something
God,
like
what
that. The
was
virtue of a woman, or like of
You know, if
I can't
Andre was
remember.
here, she'd know it like that.
I know.
I
I'm trying
can't
to look for it right now, and I cannot.
I can't remember
what the
these
hell it
names.
is.
Well, to be fair, she was such like she was a bit character. There wasn't that much about her. It was only like in the discussion of that book, where the guy writing the history is saying like, "Oh, Mushroom, there's this book, and Mushroom says this about it, and I say this about it." And it there's not that much about her, but like
There's more about Mushroom.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, there's more about Mushroom than there is about most Targaryens.
Yeah, right.
Let's be honest. Like,
Everyone's
Honestly, I mean, she just kind of amused the hell out of me. I'll be honest, because like there's just so many different theories, or like so many different like points of history that are like popped up because of her writing, and just because. I mean, both the bit Sorry, my apologies. I forgot how to talk. Um, Basically, the entire time that we like hear about her, it's like, oh, well, this person says that this person wrote it, but then this person said that this was added on like 3 years later, and it's just a lot of random shit. And she was literally just like, well, I went and I had a kid out of wedlock, was handmaid to a queen, uh, went across the sea and became a sex priestess, and then I became a nun.
Which is the best kind of priestess, in my opinion.
Sign me up.
Again, I'm single and I'm ready to mingle, so sex priestess sounds really good right about now.
I'm not single, but I'm ready for orgies.
Chris, you gotta stop. Chris, you gotta stop with the orgies. It's
Game
not
of
gonna
Thrones
happen.
style orgies. Here we come.
It's not gonna happen.
It
Okay?
could for
Toga
him.
party.
Good for
He
him.
wants it at the con. Okay, he wants the orgy at the con, and I'm like, no.
John, you said that you were going to do it in your bungalow, and I said that's probably not a
Well,
good idea. But I will show up.
Put alcohol and
Anything in John's bungalow is probably not a good thing. Just saying.
So everyone listening to the sound of my voice, you have to go to Ice and FireCon just to help me raid John's bungalow and his orgy. I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Stop saying bungalow.
you know, we Canadians, we party hard. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Canadians go crazy.
Canadians, we go
Yeah.
crazy. Okay?
And you get
Like,
very violent.
We are well aware.
Oh yeah, we get violent. Yes,
Yeah, you
this is
definitely
true.
get violent.
They only get violent when there's like a lot of Labatt. If there's a lot of Labatt
Or
involved,
Molson.
or Molson, they'll get very. But normally they're really cool, chill people.
Yeah.
And
Unless-
evidently, we found out earlier they get their milk in a bag. Who knew?
Yeah, in a bag.
We both me and Tara went to.
Just don't badmouth the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you'll be fine. Or the Canadians. Then you're getting into some.
So I have a question because one of the characters I really liked from Fire and Blood, I can't remember her name. She was the girl that was riding the dragon. She actually survives on a dragon and flies away. I cannot remember
Neville?
her. What was
Nettles?
Nettles? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I like her. Yeah.
She was in love with my boy Damon, and there's a rumor, there's conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, that Damon survived that fall, and he went with, and he found her or something, and they're living in like Essos or something, because she flew off with one of the dragons. She's like a
Well,
half.
She's like in the very, very last paragraph of the book, and they're like, oh, and the
Yeah.
dark girl, and then you see no more dragons.
She's living in the mountains of the moon. She's not doing hot either. Like I was really disappointed that was like that was the only additional information we got about Nettles and Sheep Stealer was that like they were seen in the mountains of the moon, and she was basically like living as like a wild, like she not even like a like part of one of the clans or anything. She's literally just like matted hair and like wearing next to nothing and like skinny, like skin and bones, and like living with this dragon in a cave somewhere out there, but she's not doing hot. So I was really disappointed that was like all we got of her.
It's a shame. I was actually hoping when I first heard of Fire and Blood that it was going to be something pre-conquest, like old Valyria, like the House Targaryen over there, and some of that stuff. But I guess I'll have to wait
Me
more
too.
long.
I swear
time
to
for that.
gosh, if HBO doesn't do a spin-off of just the fucking history of the Targaryens, they will make a very big
Well,
mistake.
I think they're doing Valeria. I think
I don't know
They
if I
should.
believe the
we
spin-off
talked
stuff.
about it. It's on. Yeah,
Aren't they
are.
doing the Long Night?
That's what
Well,
I
they're
that's
doing
what
a
I thought I
bunch. They
heard.
got like 5. I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
like
there,
right
there were like 5 ideas that were approved. It's whether or not they all go to pilot that's the question. I think the Doom of Valeria was one of them. The Long Night, I think, is the one that everybody thinks is the most, like, basically there's 5 that got approved, but the only one they're really like looking at is the Long Night one.
Just
Uh,
remember HBO,
do-
dragons sell. People love fucking dragons.
Because
I'm just saying.
remember,
Yeah, but
D&D is gone, right?
yes,
The mouse got them. The mouse has got them. The mouse has got them. Like they paid them off. Okay, they're with Disney now. Okay, Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
paid them like a shitload of money. Like they
They're
got that
making a new
Disney
Star
deal, like-
Wars.
But wouldn't you pay them a shit
Oh,
ton of money?
no,
for
we don't talk
Game of
about that. That
Thrones?
doesn't exist.
Yeah, let's not talk about Star Wars. Let's
So I'm
pretend
just
that
saying,
didn't
like,
happen.
Oh, I
Disney's
just don't want
gone,
to talk about
so-
D&D being involved with Star Wars. Blech.
Same.
Again, let's not. It's,
so
I'm dreading that.
but don't
movie.
forget what I don't know what got you guys into. Like I didn't read the books first, so I'm coming from purely from the show. I read the books after I watched season 1. Well, I actually after we started the podcast, but it wasn't the dragons that got me into the show. It was that here's this fantasy world, knights in shining armor with a hint of magic. There wasn't any magic yet, really, at least from when I first got into it. And it was very gritty. It felt very real, very, very raw. That's what brought me into it. And then it happened to start getting into, like the magical stuff. And it was like slowly introduced. They kind of hint at some horror shit in the beginning, with that scene with where they're coming out of the wall and all that stuff. And it wasn't like, boom, here's magic. Boom, here's dragons. Boom, here's all this crap. It was like a slow, they kind of weaned you into it. So I'm worried that if they just come out and, here's a story about the Long Night, and, the first scene is the children of the forest and their crappy makeup running around, in their shenanigans. Is that going to be as successful as the Game of Thrones was? Do you think it's going to carry over?
No, I think in my opinion, because for me, I read the first book first. That's how how I got captured into it. And I was like, wow, this is a weird book. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to read the next one. And then they said the TV show was starting, and then there was, boobs and stuff. And I was like, sweet, that's my thing. And I started watching it. So for me, I think in my personal opinion, I think this would be smart. Do spin-offs of houses, like the history of the Targaryens and the Starks and that, because people know those characters. So if you want to make a successful spin-off, like let's go back to All in the Family. Back in the day, All in the Family in the 70s, and it was one of those shows that was like it changed the way television was made, and they made a spin-off called Maude. Now Maude was such a good show, you have to have a character and you have to have a good base. Well, Game of Thrones has had a good base for the entire time it's been on television. They've not had any problems with ratings, but people are familiar with characters. They're familiar with the Starks. They're familiar with the Targaryens. They're familiar with the Lannisters. So in my opinion, if HBO is smart and they want to make a ton more money, and I don't see why they wouldn't, everybody loves money. HBO. That's what they need to do. They need to go and focus on histories of these houses, get yourself built into that way, and then you can branch off into Children of the Forest. And so what you could do is, like, when the Targaryens first get here, or whatever the case may be, and then kind of work in the Children of the Forest and then create something off of that. But just to go out and go, we're doing a Children of the Forest one, most people are going to be like, yeah, we don't give a crap. And click, they're not going to watch it.
Elena,
I agree with you. Sorry, I agree with you on all that. I think they should start with Robert's Rebellion just because, in my opinion,
that just is awesome.
Because Robert's Rebellion, it shapes the entire series, both books and show. Like everything goes back to that. Everything, Jon Snow, everything goes back to Robert's Rebellion.
Yeah, but John, don't
and
you agree?
Also,
that's the fight you want to see.
Yeah, I want to see Robert's Rebellion because you have all the characters. You have a young Robert, a young Ned, a young Tywin, a young Jaime, a young Cersei. You have all the pretty much the core characters that are young, and
I think that's dangerous. And the reason
also,
I think that's dangerous.
Let me just finish my thought here. And I think also what you're saying to keep the fans, Chris, it has to be what it always was, a medieval show. You don't get, because of Game of Thrones, you don't get Vikings, you don't get The Last Kingdom, you don't get Outlander, you don't get that Netflix show about Scotland. I can't remember what it's called, but Outlaw King.
Outlander.
You don't get any of that without Game of Thrones. They brought back that genre, and I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing more shows like that. So they have to stick to the medieval. If they get too much, I agree with you, Julia. If you get too fantasy and start introducing like Children of the Forest and all that stuff, you have to go back to what got you to the dance, which is medieval. So that's what I think.
So let's see what Trent.
I think the reason it's not, I'm Trent. This is like not what you're going to say. I don't think. I think the reason that one of those like shows won't work, like a Long Night or whatever, is because they have no textual basis for it, and they would have to find the right producers and the right writers, and I just don't trust that they'll be able to do that. Like, to be honest, I don't think they've done it with Game of Thrones. I know that I'm not necessarily in the majority there, but like the writing on that show sucks a lot and does not, they lose so much of the magic from the books. And if they're going to do something like that where they have like zero textual basis other than like some bullshit on Wiki of Ice and Fire or whatever, or like some general outlines drawn by George, like they're not going to be able to give the characters and the twists and the overall like everything that we get from Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. Maybe they can find somebody who can do that, but honestly, I've read a lot of books and I've never read anything like this. So I just think without any textual basis, it's probably going to fail. Not right away. People will watch it eventually, like at first. People will watch it at first. Well, but again, they have something to go on. So imagine if they had nothing to go on. Like, people will watch the spinoffs at first. I just don't think that they're going to succeed in they're going to get 8 seasons and a crap ton of merch and all this stuff.
It's going to be tough to catch lightning twice. Trin, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say that I think that it would be dangerous for them to go back to when, like, Tywin and Aegon were ruling and Cersei and Jaime were kids kind of thing, because the reason it would be dangerous is because we already have a connection to these characters. And so you're going to have different actors, different writers, different directors, different producers. It's going to be, that would be just dangerous.
It's not going to feel
for
the same.
fans. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Not at all.
Don't you think someone from D&D that's been with D&D is gonna run this stuff? Like, aren't there gonna be like some kind of like guy like that's been with them that's gonna take over, that knows the D&D style? Like, I'm thinking that's what's gonna
maybe
happen.
I need a different style.
Yeah. It's just what, like Chris said. Like Chris said,
HBO is gonna keep their core. HBO, I think, keep their core guy. Like, they're gonna keep some. I mean, they've had, like, name a bad HBO show. Like, it's very, very little. They've had success through all their shows. I mean, so you have to give, like, I always give HBO the benefit of doubt because they've always been able to produce.
But on the same hand, John, you can't. No offense, you can't. HBO can't bank on that. They can't continue to bank on, what they've done in the past. If they don't put out a substantive a product, people will not watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's called, Game of
Well,
Thrones times 2. If it sucks, it sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to know what Elena, because I haven't had a chance to really, bring her on and beat her up a little bit here. So what do you think, Elena? What would be a good a spin-off that you think would get people's attention and keep the numbers that HBO had with Game of Thrones?
Honestly, I feel like no matter what kind of spin-off they go with, it's not going to be as big as Game of Thrones. They're going to try their damnedest. They're going to put out all this advertising. They're going to do all these merch options. They're going to launch videos and have big name actors and actresses, but nothing is going to be up to what they already have. I mean, maybe they'll get like 3 seasons, but after that, I can't see it going anywhere.
I feel the same way. I mean, they have a really good cast. They got really good characters. I love the way they casted it, and the writing is definitely not as good as the way the books are, Tara. I agree with you there.
God, no.
There is so much stuff that got lost in translation, and it's like, oh my God, what's going on here?
They should just stick to an anthology series rather than stick with one. I said this before in the podcast. They should always stick to an anthology series, like the way American Horror Story or some of those other shows do, where each season will be a different storyline. So you're not carrying like 4 seasons of the Long Winter Night. So one season will be the Long Night, next season will be this, next season will be that. That's the best way I think would work.
That's actually a really good idea.
It works for American Horror Story.
Yeah, I mean, it works. It works when it works, and it doesn't when it doesn't. But yeah, I feel like that's a better idea than them trying to draw out a several seasons long show about the Long Night.
Well, Big E is right, though, when he writes this. He says the sole reason people subscribe to HBO Now streaming service is because of Game of Thrones. He's 100% correct. The HBO Now app was created solely because of Game of Thrones.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't come to the table with almost a home run, HBO is going to be in trouble, because you think the last episode of the last season, it got 16.5 million people watching it. That was on television and on the streaming app at the same time. 16.5 million people for one episode. Those numbers, you don't see those numbers.
What other
anywhere.
show do they have that comes close to that besides when The Sopranos is off?
Okay, yes, the Sopranos season finale probably got about that much.
But like Westworld is okay.
It's all right.
The last
I don't
season
watch
was what the hell? It's I don't know. I don't know what else they have that's that good.
But
The
I don't
issue
even
I'm
is
think
saying.
I don't even
I
think
think
it's
they
the
were
hype.
banking on Westworld, and I don't think it lived up to their expectations. I really like the show,
Me too.
but yeah,
We were
I
thinking
think
it was going to be like a 6 Feet Under, because you remember when the Sopranos, The Wire, and that other show with the one where they're in the jail.
Oz.
When those 3 shows were going, they had 6 Feet Under. And it was kind of like that quirky, funky, weird show. And it was like, it kind of made sense. And I think they thought that that's what they were going to get with Westworld, but they didn't.
No.
I think they were going more blockbuster for it.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I think it the first season lived up to it, and the second season didn't.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Oh yeah, it was definitely following the footsteps of like a Game of Thrones, where the first season, your main character, your cat, is like the catalyst for all this stuff. Is sort of does the same thing,
Yeah.
Without too many spoilers. Sorry.
Nice work.
I know. Sorry.
That's awesome. You did a good job, I'll tell you. It's hard. It's hard not to do spoil. I mean, even in the intro, it says, warning, spoilers. We try like hell
but
not to.
For Westworld.
Yeah, but we try not to spoil anything. But it's difficult. I don't know who hasn't seen it that would want to see it at this point. But that's good though. You did a good job.
Don't watch the Titanic because the boat sinks.
Yeah, definitely don't
Oh,
watch that. You've ruined it for me.
And by the
What
way,
the hell?
Please
I had
tell
no
me that
idea.
Leonardo DiCaprio nuts does he live at the end? Does he make
I
it?
mean,
and
listen,
there's enough
Raped
room on
by a
that
bear later.
raft. There's
Listen,
enough room
I'm
there
still
are
not-
actually
still
there
not
are
over Kate
actually some Italian animated movies about the Titanic in which the Titanic does not sink and
Oh,
is
wow.
held together by a giant octopus who drags it to New York Harbor, and nobody dies.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to
Much
watch
better
this.
story.
You gotta love
I don't
That's
think
Italian. That's not
like,
Japanese anime or something.
You gotta love the
No,
Asian.
it's Italian, and I say it's Italian. They're I don't know if I don't know if they were originally actually just filmed in English or if they're just dubbed. I think they might actually have been filmed in English, but they were made by like Italian animation companies. There's 2 of them. The first one is like is called Titanic something. It's if you Google like Italian Titanic cartoon. I don't like JonTron as a person, but his video about the Titanic cartoon is hilarious. And then there's a second one that I think the Italian name of it is called Tentacolino, which is all about the octopus that saved the Titanic. Okay,
Oh,
I know
that's
it's not
funny.
like anime, but it's not.
That's
That should be
hysterical.
game. Sounds anime, but it's not.
We're just rewriting history.
But no,
Fuck it.
that's what they do. But the second one is way worse. It takes the people who survived the Titanic and they find Atlantis. And it's also
that's
that
funny.
of lost toys, like in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Literally, like if you want a bad movie,
So you need to be on speed to watch the last one.
I drank a lot of alcohol watching.
Nice.
it.
Nice.
Like, but they are absolutely, they're just like so bad, they're hilarious. But yeah, long story short, so in these movies Titanic does actually survive, so it isn't a lie. Titanic actually didn't sink, guys. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry to bust your bubble.
You heard it here.
The Italian animators say
That's
It's all,
funny.
it's all a conspiracy. It's all a cover up.
So we'll get these guys to do the follow-up shows on.
Yeah.
sorry, I know that was like a tangent, but I have to tell
It's great.
people about these movies.
I'm glad that you
Whenever
did, because
there's
now
a
I'm gonna go and watch it.
come up. They're ridiculous. They're so
Move over, D&D.
I literally
Got
used to
new
study the
producers.
Titanic all the time. So now that you told me that, I'm gonna go and spend the rest of my night watching these anime movies. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch these animated movies and be like, yo,
there's a rapping dog in the first one. I'm
that's
just
that's
Sold.
I'm sorry, what?
sold.
Oh my God! It is
Some
amazing what
pizza and
people
beer.
make these days.
Yeah.
So I am worried for the Game of Thrones longevity. I really am. I mean, and when's the winter coming out?
next year.
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, about that.
September.
According to winter is coming, it's supposed to be some point this year, hopefully. So
But even if it
yeah,
does
I
come out
know.
this
I
year,
get the
We
same
got that
grace. I was like, what?
don't we still have to wait for
Yeah.
Dreams of Spring?
Yeah.
You think he's gonna be alive for Jim of Spring, man?
Ah,
Come on.
Well,
Hey,
he's gonna
maybe
be alive for that?
well maybe he has something set up. When
How
Robert
long it took
Jordan
him to
died
write?
from Wheel of Time, he had Brandon Sanderson finish the books for him. He did a phenomenal job. I love the
man,
Wheel of Time.
I doubt George R.R. Martin's got somebody like that.
Oh.
He's very close to the cuff with that stuff.
I think that he has talked to Neil. Is it Gaiman or Gaiman? I'm not good with pronouncing names. Neil Gaiman, American Gods, the guy who wrote American Gods.
I think it's
Oh,
Gaiman.
yeah, it's Gaiman.
I don't think anything was ever decided, and I don't know as if Martin would ever actually allow it, because I'm pretty sure I actually heard that he wouldn't. But like, there has been, I know he did. They're friends, and there was some discussion about Neil Gaiman finishing the books. I would be shocked if that actually happened, though, because I think Martin like you said, he keeps that stuff close. I don't think he's gonna really.
We need to put him in a room, lock the door that only we have the key, and just say it with a typewriter and just don't come out until it's done.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, honestly, as a writer, I can tell you, I wish that worked.
I know, right?
That's how you start writing a totally different novel.
Yeah, he'll write something completely different.
I used to have a loft bed, and my desk was under a loft bed, and I had a curtain that I could pull down behind me, and I would literally sit myself down in front of my computer in this loft bed with the curtain pulled down behind me where nobody could bother me, and in a separate bedroom away from everything. And I still if it's not there, it's not there. And
I opposite of Deliverance.
Yeah, I honestly really think that that he said some things in passing, and he's always couching them. I think that the show and some of the decisions they've made and whatnot have kind of harmed his ability to continue the story.
Well, didn't we have a podcast before I think it was season 6 or of season 5, where they said that at this point they have nothing to go on within the books. Now it's just HBO is kind of floundering around on their own. So
yeah, but I think George gave them a skeleton idea of where they're going.
Yeah, but going back to her point is that she's right. He now he wanted to go one way, but now he can't go that way because of the way that the television show went.
Yeah, that's true. However, I think that the ending is still going to be similar. I mean, just to go back to what Tara was saying about having, locking yourself in a room in the curtain. I wrote a book. It's very, very short, and it was very difficult for me to write. So I definitely have a lot of respect for George trying to go through this, especially with how many characters he writes for and their perspectives. And holy cats, I don't know how you get all that shit straight in your head unless you're some kind of wackadoo. It's amazing the ability this man has, but holy cats, we need the books. We need them. I am so desperate for these books.
Elena was going to say something.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I know there was, I can't remember if it was an interview or George put on his website a few, I want to say last year, maybe the year before that at the most. He killed somebody off that he needs in his book. So he is trying to write himself out of this issue that he wrote himself into.
So he posted that on his own website that he did that?
I can't remember if he posted it or he said it in an interview, but he said that he killed somebody off that he realized he would need. So now he's trying to write himself out of it.
Oh,
Or
well, I mean, and again, it's the whole what do they call it, the Milanese triangle or whatever it is, where the Milanese not, where he wrote Danny into that situation and then had to write her out of it, and that was a big part of what caused the split between Feast and Dance, and it's a big part of it's a bigger part of what delayed Dance's publication, because he could not figure out how to get everybody that needed to be in Marine, Tyrion, Jorah, etc., to Marine, and then also get Danny out of the situation that he wrote her into. And again, that comes back to the fact that he writes these amazing, deep, well-written characters and these plot lines and these prophecies that are maybe nonsense, but usually not. He's got so much going on. I don't know how he keeps track of it. I don't
or
as a side note, I'm one of 100 people that can actually perform the Milanese knot.
or
I'm just
or
saying, I'm pretty good at it.
it's all a work. It's all trolling. He has both books done.
No way.
Hold on.
no
Let me
way.
say
No
let me finish
way.
this for a second. I'm not
Heard
saying
this
this is
theory
true.
so
but
many times.
He has both books done. They're sitting in a safe with about $10 million of his HBO money that he's gonna get, that he's got already. So it's in a safe with a pile of $10 million. He's got his 2 books done there.
Mhm.
Okay. Along with maybe like 3 checks that he hasn't cashed yet.
And in an alternate universe,
he's got it done and he's just sitting.
Winds of Winter came out in 2016.
He's sitting in his house and just
Yeah.
watching the internet, being like, I'm just gonna troll you guys. Let me just write this down. You don't know. I don't know.
I think
I'm
John
just
is
saying.
telling us what he would do if he were
I'm just
George R. R.
saying.
Martin.
He might have those books done. And he's
Yeah.
just getting that HBO
So-
pay. Like those HBO checks are big.
Yeah.
Well, he don't. No offense, he ain't gotta wait to release them. He's still gonna get the checks no matter
Oh,
what.
yeah.
Releasing the
He's
book or
waiting.
holding the book back, he's still gonna get
He's
the
probably
money.
waiting because HBO's like, listen, we know you can release the book, but we're gonna add another 0 to this paycheck. So just so you don't hold off, we just want the show to be six. We want the show to come first. So we're gonna add another 0 to your royalty check. Okay, that's already massive, and we're just gonna just hold off on the books until the series is done. We're gonna add another 0 to you. Okay.
Biggie
What-
says Gurm's big mistake was to split Feast and Dance with Dragons because there's so many plot lines now that he needs to close. And
Valid
that's
point.
that's I think that's what Tara was saying. Like he wrote himself into
He wrote
some,
himself into
some
a big
predicaments.
circle. Yeah.
There's so many loose ends and so many roads that have to cross back now.
I'm not even
he'll get
sure
through it.
I agree with the fact that it was a huge mistake for him to split them. If you haven't done, if you guys reread the books, if you haven't done it's Boiled Leather. If you look up Boiled Leather, Feast Dance reread or something like that, like something along those lines, it's boiledleather.com or it's a boiledleather.blogspot.com. I don't know, whatever. Boiled Leather. He did the whole, like he basically paired the 2 books together. So
All
you
leather
read
must
them
be metal?
Yes, yeah. So you read them simultaneously, and that reread made me hate A Dance with Dragons so much more. And I didn't love it in the first place. It made me hate A Dance with Dragons, but it made me respect Feast for Crows way more than I had before. And also on a subsequent reread where I just did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Feast is my favorite book now of the 5. So it is a really cool thing to do though. And his is definitely the best one that I've found, where to pair the 2 of them together and read them simultaneously. But I don't necessarily think it was a big mistake for him to split them. I think it was a mistake. No, that's not even the right word. I think that the issue came from like him writing himself into a corner and kind of having to force himself out of it, maybe in ways that he wouldn't have in the first place if he hadn't been I don't know, like had writer's block or whatever. Like we don't know. Like he's an artist, man. Like
Yeah.
I can go 2 months with just having a veil over my face, like not wanting to work on Ice and Fire kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I have things I have to do. And I have to come up with ideas, and I have to come up with graphics, and I have to come up with posts, and I have no idea where to even start. And especially when you're a writer, like at his level, and you're having to go to events and stuff like that, like you get distracted.
Yeah.
Excellent points. Well, we'll just have to wait until the book comes out. But this has been a really awesome show. Tara, I always love having you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And I want to have you come back again before Ice and Fire Con, depending on if you have time. And I know you're going to get busier and busier the closer you get. But I'd like to get you back on for, just to talk more about Ice and Fire Con, and promote the hell out of it just a little bit more before it happens, get those last minute ticket sales in. And this community has been amazing. The Game of Thrones community, Song of Ice and Fire community. And I know Trent has been to the con, John's been to the con. I really want to go. and I want to try to get everybody that can possibly go there. I want to sell out all the tickets, but I want to sell them out with B-Tit people. Come on, B-Tit people, buy the goddamn
come on,
tickets.
guys.
For the love of God. Hashtag B-Tit. Come on,
Yeah,
we're the Thronies.
We've spent a lot of time talking about like the end of the like Game of Thrones show, and when we finally get the novels, I'm really sad. I'll be really sad if Tara stops doing Ice and Fire Con at any point in the
Me too.
future. Like, please don't stop.
I mean, honestly, we this is a thing that we've had to talk about because eventually the show will end and the books will be published,
But
and
we're still here.
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even if even when the show ends, which is happening this year, Jesus, this year, wow. And let's ignore the idea of spin-offs and prequels. We're just getting started. Let's ignore the idea of spin-offs and prequels for now, and just focus on like the show is ending this year, but the books are still like we're still waiting on the books. And honestly, like we can keep this going as long as there are people that want to talk about this stuff.
Yes.
And I mean, shoot, like Elena hasn't really said much about Ice and FireCon, but like we met at Ice and FireCon, and now she, then she was a volunteer, and now she's a member of the Small Council. So it's. I mean, honestly, I've met some of my best friends at Ice and FireCon. We had a couple that met at the first Ice and FireCon get married last year. So
We
Oh,
got
that's
to witness their
awesome.
wedding. It was beautiful.
oh,
I
and they got
cried.
engaged at Ice and FireCon too.
They did. That was what, 2017?
2017. Yeah, they got engaged. Like, and my friend, the guy, he's like, hey, Keith, he's like, hey, can you take some pictures? And I think they're just doing like a cosplay thing. So I've got my phone out, or his phone out, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take some pictures. And then he's down on one knee and there's a ring out and I'm taking pictures and I'm like, okay. And then somebody's like, yeah, this is real, right? He's proposing to her. And I was like, what? Like, these are two of my best friends. Like, we all met at the first Ice and FireCon. We've been friends ever since. But like, yeah, I was a mess. I was a friggin' mess. So
Yeah, John's hoping to find his true love at Ice and FireCon, and that's why we keep wanting all of our lovely fans to go, because you
That's
never
why
know.
he wants an orgy. That's the reason.
Oh my
You
god.
want
guys.
the orgy, Chris.
you ain't gonna meet your true love.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it was John's idea.
No.
After
Elena, aren't you like original Maiden's Vault?
I am.
I remember that
Oh,
post, and I saw it, and I was like, Maiden's
yeah,
Vault, brilliant.
me and Chloe were the Maiden Vault. It
Yeah.
started because the first year we went was 2016, and we had
I
this.
went.
Good. Sorry, like my brain's fried right now, and I
Okay.
spent a lot of that weekend real drunk. Seek Shine, it gets you every time.
Mhm.
And like we had this great big beautiful room, but we were like up and like in this back corner, so we were just joking that it was the Maiden Vault because the
Right.
girls were in it.
Yeah.
And then we just stuck with it. Like the next year we had our room to ourselves. This year we had a room to ourselves. Though I think Chloe probably spent more time with her boyfriend.
Who she
and
met
then
at Ice and FireCon.
who she met at Ice and FireCon.
Nice.
It's disgusting.
See, John? It's gonna happen.
You can do it, John. I believe in you.
It's and then this year we're talking about getting a cabin, and we're gonna name it Cabin Vault. We're hoping to be next to the Chicago boys because we all enjoy just like being around each other and like hanging out. But
All about when you check in, and also good luck with that 9 a.m. checkout.
oh yeah, no, we're talking about checking out on Monday. We're figuring it out. It'll happen eventually. But yeah, I mean,
So you guys have been there before, because I've never been to Mount Sterling. If we've got fans who are trying to get there or make plans to go there, what would you recommend for them hotel wise? Like you said, there's cabins, there's rooms. We have reservations for a giant room, but I'm thinking of maybe changing to a cabin. I don't know. What do you
I don't
guys
do bugs.
It depends on what you guys want. So the cabins, you don't have to worry about bugs. They are nice cabins. Like,
they are
Yeah.
real
but
nice cabins.
that said, you will have a walk. Like the first group of cabins is it 4 or 5 cabins? 4 cabins?
I think 5.
There's like one group of cabins that's maybe a 5 to 6 minute walk from the lodge. And like, if you're there, you're kind of golden, but like all
Anything
the
else, you're
other
screwed.
cabins, you're like, you cannot walk. You're going to have to drive back and forth. I mean, well, you can, but we're talking like, it's like a 15-minute walk or so. However, all the cabins have a full kitchen, like a full kitchen with an oven
Which
and a
is
stove
really nice.
and everything. Whereas the lodge rooms, there's like the regular rooms that have just beds and a mini fridge and a microwave and like a bathroom. Then there's like the ones that have beds and bunk beds and the mini fridge and the microwave. Then there's the loft rooms, which have, I think, a sitting area, a tiny sitting area, and also mini fridge and microwave. And then the suites, the deluxe suites or whatever they're called, deluxe something, there's only like 2 of them. Those have like beds and like a vanity area and a bathroom and a sitting area and like a kitchen that has its own sink and a full fridge, but still only a microwave for some reason. They really love their microwaves at Deer Creek. So like, if you want a full kitchen, you have to have a cabin.
Okay.
But like, yeah, and it's going to depend on how early you check in. It's also like one of the cabins in that first circle is a handicapped cabin. They will not give it to people who do not say they need a handicapped cabin. So, so yeah, like you could be a 5 to 6 minute walk from the lodge, or you could be like a 15-minute walk, because they're really spread out after that. And there's a campsite that's like 3 or 4 miles away. That's like it's basically like a 12-minute drive. So like, if you just want to camp and not like pay for rooms anywhere, you can stay there. But there should still be plenty of the like 109 plus taxes rooms left at the lodge. And if there aren't that many of those left, there's like the one level up, which I think is the one that has the bunk beds, is like 119 or 129 a night, and then the loft ones are, yeah, they're it's very affordable. Like, I'm not really the person to ask, because there's no way in hell I could stay in those cabins. I have way too much to do. I'm sure they are perfectly fun to stay in if you're not like a volunteer, but we had some volunteers last year who stayed in the cabins who were like, yeah, we should not have done that. And I was like, I told you.
Yeah, this is why me and Chloe are very, very much debating it. And on a side note, I think the reason why they like their microwave so much is that Deer Creek, I mean, they recently did a huge renovation. They rebuilt basically from the ground up because they caught on fire.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was in 2015. So I can see why they're like, nope, nobody gets ovens. Y'all can have microwaves, and maybe you'll even screw that up. I don't know. But yeah, no, they
makes
literally,
sense.
it like burnt to the ground. It was bad. It was real bad.
Wow.
But
So everything's nice and new and shiny.
Yeah.
it is. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely lovely.
So we're going to wrap up the show here, and I'm going to go around and say goodbye to everybody. And I would like everybody to let us know where we can find you on social media, whatnot. And of course, Tara, I want a huge plug for Ice and Fire Con dates and whatnot at the end here. And we'll continue to plug you on our future episodes up into the con. It's because we're a huge supporter of Ice and Fire Con. We love everything that you do, and you're just awesome. It's just the way it is.
Don't forget to tell people your coupon code.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right, the coupon code. Do you have the
Beat
coupon
it.
code? It's Beat It.
Yes.
No, it's Throne.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thronies. Yes. of
Does it
course,
matter
we
if
love
it's
our Thronies.
capitals or does it matter lowercase?
I don't think it matters. Like, I have it set as all capitals, but I'm pretty sure if you just type in Thronies, THRONIES, it should still work. I can't imagine it's.
Awesome.
But if for some reason you type it in not all caps, just try it in caps.
Yeah, try it both ways. All right, Trin, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great to have you. Wow, it's been so long. I missed you
know.
so much.
I missed you guys too, and I'm glad I'll be back. And in 2 weeks, I'll fully be in my house again. I think.
No, you could come
So,
back here.
yeah.
You and Jacob, bring some of that cooking skills. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. We loved having you.
I know it was great being up there. I just really want to get back into my house
I
like
hear ya.
full time. So, but I'm glad to be back, and God willing, I will be at Ice and Fire Con. I'm already like, I'm so excited to go this year. It's just been like one chaos mess after another. But it's a new year. Yay. So
Awesome.
looking forward to it. And you guys can find me on social media at Dovahkiin Trin.
Awesome. Julie, thanks for being on the show, and I look forward to seeing you on episode 200, the big 2-0. Wow, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
And,
I know. I'm so excited.
I think I'm going to have Glicopedia on for that episode also.
Oh, no
yeah,
way.
Yeah, old school. I'm even trying to get some of the original cast back on, maybe Kelly Holloway.
That would be fantastic.
You know, I asked Chris Innes, but I haven't heard back from him yet. You know, Chris, the Mr. Tang. So maybe we can get Captain Tang on. But Julie, where can people find you?
You can get me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at NerdGirl with it's GURL 722. That's where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Those are for my professional stuff, like mostly using that now for getting my Twitch channel up and running. And you can follow me on Twitch. It's NerdGirl GURL 22. That's where you can get me for those three spots there.
Awesome. And of course, General Jonathan Stoma Starklover. Tell everyone where they can stalk you, my friend.
You can stalk me on Facebook, Jonathan Stomas, Instagram, John50.
Here comes the list.
Yeah.
Twitter, John Fury 316. I'm also hold on. I'm also on Snapchat, Periscope, Tinder, Pinterest, Judate, Christian Mingle, Geek Date. Game of
Wait,
Thrones Date.
why Christian Mingle? I'm just curious.
Are you on farmersonly.com?
Lava Life, eHarmony.
What the hell is Lava Life?
Don't ask.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about it later, John.
And MySpace. So there you go.
MySpace? What the hell, man? What is this, 2007? Jesus Christ, it's like 2006
anymore.
And I will be at the con for sure. Hopefully, I won't have to take a $80 Canadian Uber.
Fucking
to there.
MySpace.
So hopefully, someone, Trin, will pick me up from the
I
airport.
will.
Thank you.
Just
Not
come to the
taking
border and jump.
So
That's funny.
I will be. I love Ice of Fire
There might
Con.
be a
I'm a-
wall by then.
No, the wall's not
I'm a
going north.
Patreon.
It's only going
The
to the
Canadians are putting the wall up, not
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Valid point.
And on the front,
For
and
you
it's going to say,
guys.
Like,
please
fuck this shit.
keep
Put
out.
The wall up. No.
They're so polite.
Check out
Not concrete.
the,
It's steel with very nice slats. It's very aesthetically pleasing.
Of course.
check out the Ice and Fire Con Patreon. I am a member. So check that out. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome, John. Thanks again for being on the show, buddy. And
love being on the
congratulations. Every time you host a show, I get good words from you, buddy. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. I
Appreciate
appreciate it. I learned from the king. You're the
What can I
king.
say? I've been doing this a long
King's
time. Many
learned from you.
podcasts. Thank you. Elena, thank you so much for being on the show. First time on Behind the Iron Throne. Love to have you back and, talk more about Game of Thrones. I feel like I didn't get a chance to really bring you in too many of the conversations. I'm sorry about that. But the next time, that means we just have to have you back just to have some fun.
I'd definitely be down for that. Get me talking about the House Mormont for I'll be going for 3 hours. It's fine. Speaking of which, you can find me on Twitter. I am the Bear Air, TheBearHeir. I mostly tweet a lot about the books. I tweet a lot about skating reviews of the show. Not really apologizing there. And I am always at Ice and FireCon. This will be my 4th year attending. This will be my 2nd year help running it. All thanks to our amazing Queen Regent here, Tara.
Awesome. And of course, Tara, we love having you on the podcast, and you always have an open door anytime. You just call me and say, hey, I want to be on the show. Done. You're on. That's all you have to do. Just knock on the door and I'll let you in.
But then you might have to actually put up with my nonsense.
Yeah, but I love shenanigans. I mean, a lot of my job as the host is just herding cats. That's all I do. That's what
I have a webcast / podcast and host a lot of panels, and it's literally 90% just herding cats.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not a Game of Thrones expert.
When I was on Drunk ASWAF, I spent 90% of my time going, okay, Chloe,
That's
next
awesome.
point. And then she just kept herding back to the next. I'm like, damn it, we're so close.
I love doing this stuff. It's just I'm not the expert. You guys are the experts. You guys without you guys, there wouldn't be an awesome community. There wouldn't be an awesome show. So
Gotta love the BTIC community. It's fantastic.
So, Tara, let us know where we can find you, whatever you're working on. And, of course, Ice and FireCon people, you have to go. Use the promo code Thronies. Get it done.
So Ice and FireCon is literally at Ice and FireCon on Twitter, Instagram, iceandfirecon.tumblr.com, iceandfirecon.com, facebook.com/iceandfirecon. It's all the same everywhere. Me personally, you can find me at A Geek Saga. That's AGEEKSAGA. I'm like everything: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have that on lockdown. My website is a geek.
Do you have MySpace as well? Because clearly we're going back to 2007.
To be fair, I also don't have Snapchat. So like I'm not in the future or in the past. I'm only in the present, y'all.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
I cover all my bases.
Yeah.
I can't stand
How's that working
Snapchat.
out for you, John?
That's really
It
deep.
works quite
by the
well,
way.
actually.
Did we all miss that? I think that was like kind of deep.
So I'm just excited for Ice and FireCon. Thank you so much for doing it. Please, guys, use the promo code. Thank you, Tara, so much for giving us this promo code for the audience.
Thronies. Thronies, that's our promo code.
And we're going to see you guys in the next episode, which will be June 20th.
January
Or,
20th.
I'm sorry,
January
June.
20th.
Jesus H,
June
crying out
20th,
loud.
the show will be done and everything. will be
Biannual.
Okay, hold on a second. Thank you for. It's January. Holy cats, I'm losing my goddamn mind.
I haven't even drank anything yet.
The first podcast I recorded in the new year was this morning. We did Apple time, and I got all that wrong too. So, January 20th, 200th episode of this podcast. This is the oldest running podcast we have at TNRT Studios. I never thought we would make it this far. Quite honestly, I'm not even going to lie. Just send us an email. Let us know what you loved about the show, what you love about the podcast, what you love about the books, what you love in general. I don't care. Just send us something. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. All the links will be in the description of the podcast. But most importantly, just let us know, what you loved about the show and all that kind of stuff. You can get us on Facebook Messenger, behindtheironthrone@gmail.com. And you can just message me if you want to. All the links will be in the description of this podcast. But more importantly than that, please, Ice and FireCon, check it out. Go, have a great time, and meet your favorite podcasters from every podcast that you listen to.
Get drunk.
Yeah, and and if you want to, we're gonna have a party with Trin. It's gonna be like the meet and greet and the drinking party. That's what we're gonna be.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely. It's on.
Say alcohol. She's like, yes, I'm here. What? Yes, where?
Then the orgy after at John's
No.
bunker.
Yeah. Donald take that part. Chris has that part.
Woo! Milanese not. I can do it. 100 people on the planet, and I can do it.
Wow.
Orgy is going to be
Huh?
epic, people.
Yeah, it's gonna be epic.
Milanese.
He said
Milanese, yeah.
Orgy.
I just want
Milanese?
everybody to know.
Milanese
He
loop?
said Milanese.
Like the
He did
Milanese
say
app.
Milanese.
Sorry, I did Apple
Still
time
with-
this
he's
morning.
still at
From
Apple
Milan?
time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anywho, see you guys next time for another great adventure from behind the Iron Throne. Peace out.
Done.
Mulan?
Jesus Christ.
And we are out of the show, but we're still live. Everyone watching live, thank you so much for sticking it out. And we'll see you guys.